New tonight, protesters invading a popular shopping spot in St. Louis County.
This video just into our newsroom in the past hour from the Galleria. Demonstrators protesting the decision not to indict Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson. While the protest did cause a disturbance, we're told there was no violence.
Also new tonight, the search is on right now for an assault rifle stolen from a St. Louis County police car in Ferguson.
According to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, county police say the gun was taken from a police cruiser that was later set on fire during Monday night's riots. Police say the missing AR-15 is the only gun that's been reported missing. We'll keep you updated on that investigation.
Meantime, after 2 nights of violent acts and destruction in Ferguson, tonight News 4 is seeing a much calmer scene.
News 4 has team coverage in Ferguson tonight. We begin with Matt Cesny live from police headquarters. And Matt, set the scene for us right now.
Yeah, Steve, I can tell you a light snow has just started to fall here within the last 10 minutes outside the Ferguson Police Department. But as you mentioned, things today have been much more peaceful and calm since we've been here since this afternoon. Out in front of the Ferguson Police Department, of course, though, the National Guard remains here holding that line in formation in their full gear with their helmets and their shields, as they have been for the last 2 nights. The protesters themselves have also been lining the sidewalk of South Florissant on the other side of that barricade. The protests tonight, while they have been loud, I mentioned they have been peaceful. Now, up until about 2 minutes ago, that sidewalk was filled with a lot of protesters. They have since now taken the cue of a couple cars and have now begun a march northward up on South Florissant Road. But as I mentioned, there's been no blocking of traffic tonight, no confrontation with police, and many protesters we spoke with tonight are hoping for calm.
My hopes is the same as anybody else's. All we want to do is calm the city down. Right now, we don't know how to calm them down because the situation is at hand of what happened Monday, which everybody knew what was going to happen. You go home and rest and just let it go. That is not what the people want.
And again, that seems to be the rallying cry of most of the people here tonight who say they just want to peacefully protest here tonight out in front of the Ferguson Police Department. As I mentioned, a large group of the demonstrators have now begun moving north on the sidewalk on South Florissant. The National Guard remaining here in front of the police department. And as that light snowfall begins to get a little more steady, we'll remain out here to bring you the very latest on what happens. We're live in Ferguson. Matt Cesny, News 4.
A wave of protesters trying to storm St. Louis City Hall forced officers to lock the doors earlier today. The demonstrators were part of a group that marched from the old courthouse to City Hall. Some made their way into the building, which prompted officials to call for 100 additional officers to City Hall. 3 protesters were arrested for failure to disperse. One of those was also charged with assault of a law enforcement officer.
What you just saw, vandals setting off explosives at the Meineke car shop on South Florissant last night. Crooks also smashing out windows at the store. But today, we found the store's manager had that store back open. Plywood now covering the windows. The store manager telling us every night brings concerns of looting.
During the day, this is a city you'd like to come and have lunch in. At night, you don't want anywhere near her. I mean, yeah, it's a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing.
We have seen neighbors helping neighbors. Some residents have been assisting to clean up the damage caused by the violence of others. Steve?
Sharon, Governor Nixon has been under scrutiny for how he's handled the rioting in Ferguson, and today I spoke with the governor to address that criticism. Nixon answering my questions from the Unified Command Post in Jennings. Many residents and even Ferguson's mayor have criticized Nixon for not deploying more National Guardsmen on Monday night when a dozen businesses and numerous cars were set on fire. I asked Nixon why he chose not to send more guardsmen.
Well, the plan all along was to make sure that the police officers from their communities were on the front line. Those are the folks that are out there in the community, and quite frankly, over the last 109 days, they had been working with the community. When we saw the reaction that was out there, it was necessary for us to make some adjustments, put additional force strength in place, and that's what we did. Be safe, guys. Be safe.
Nixon tells me that the National Guardsmen will continue to be deployed as they were last night and says additional resources will be added if it's deemed necessary.
Roadblocks remain on West Florissant tonight after 2 nights of looting and riots in Ferguson. Police say the 1-mile stretch, it remains an active crime scene, but it is causing some headaches for residents, especially ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. News 4's Alexis Zotos asking police if any changes will be made ahead of Thanksgiving. And Alexis, you started looking into this after a viewer called with a concern.
Start calling to find out how, our relatives and different people will be able to get into there tomorrow. And nobody at those, they gave me about 9 police stations numbers, and nobody could tell me anything.
Ronald Brown was driving down West Florissant today when he ran into the roadblock.
I couldn't go that way today because I was going to stop by, and I couldn't go, so I just came on home.
There are many streets off of West Florissant affected by the roadblock, and while Brown's home is still accessible through back roads, he's worried about family coming in from out of town for the holiday.
But we got other people that don't know their way around out there as well.
Even using GPS, it still tried to route us back to West Florissant.
Turn right onto Humming Drive.
Do you think they should make some changes since tomorrow is a holiday?
Of course. They need to let that get that out the way for at least Thanksgiving Day.
Alexis asked police if there's a chance that could happen. She's told it's a wait-and-see situation. Many of the burned and looted businesses are still active crime scenes. We're told there's a potential to reopen the street during Thanksgiving Day.
Now, the mother of Michael Brown is explaining what fueled her outburst in the moments after the grand jury's decision was announced.
Everybody want me to be calm. Do you know how them bullets hit my son? They wrong. Y'all know y'all wrong. We gonna get justice.
Brown's mother there, Leslie McSpadden, in front of the Ferguson Police Department on Monday after learning Officer Darren Wilson would not be indicted for her son's shooting. She says her emotions erupted because she felt the system had wronged her and her family. In an interview on CBS this morning, McSpadden went on to say she does not believe that Wilson shot her son in self-defense.
He didn't do what he had to do. He did what he wanted to do. I don't think he wanted to kill my son, but he wanted to kill someone.
Then in his statement, he said he'll do it again. So
his conscience is clear?
His conscience
How could your
is clear?
conscience be clear after killing somebody, even if it was an accidental death?
Brown's family says they may pursue a wrongful death lawsuit, and the Justice Department continues its civil rights investigation.
Meanwhile, we're getting an update from those close to Darren Wilson who say he is expected to leave the Ferguson Police Department. Wilson's attorney saying, quote, "The life he had as Darren Wilson, the police officer, is over," end quote. His attorneys say he has received death threats. They also say he is distraught about the violence he's seen erupt in Ferguson since the grand jury decision announcement.
What he's expressed to us is that it's such a diverse community, and his patent statement is Ferguson loves Ferguson, and it's tearing him apart watching what's going on to that city.
He grabbed the top of my gun.
Wilson maintained in an interview which aired yesterday that Michael Brown attacked him and that if he had not shot Brown, he felt he might have died.
A mobile march taking to the streets of St. Louis and Ferguson as protesters used their cars to tour the sites of several recent police-involved shootings.
Julian Johnson rolling alongside that group. He's live at the Ferguson Police Department where the march ended.
Steve Sharon, that caravan arriving here at the police station at about 8 o'clock. At its peak, there are about 20 to 25 cars carrying about 30 to 40 people, all of them trying to bring awareness to something they say is a rash of recent police-involved shootings.
We are tired of just the police brutality. We are tired of just you bothering us for no apparent reason. All people ain't thugs.
The basis behind a mobile march protesters used to once again call for justice. The night starting at the memorial of Von Derek Myers, shot and killed by an off-duty St. Louis Metro officer after police say Myers fired first. Protesters then heading to the site where city officers shot Kajimi Powell. Investigators say Powell had a knife and charged police. Michael Hassel, the man who recorded the fatal shooting.
We lost a human. Like me taping that was the worst thing in my life.
The march also stopping off at Mike Brown's memorial along Canfield Drive before ending at Ferguson PD, all while National Guardsmen stood watch.
Yeah, that could have been my brother. One day that could be my son. You know, my boyfriend's a black man. We're going to have black sons one day. That could be my son walking down the street.
So that protest ending peacefully, and as you see out here out front of the police station along South Florissant, things are peaceful once again. As Matt Cesny said just a few moments ago, there was a group of protesters that took off up South Florissant. For the most part, though, things have been peaceful. We did see one arrest, but nothing major other than that. We'll keep you updated on what happens out here. We're live in Ferguson. Julian Johnson, News 4.
Still ahead, the annual Guns and Hoses event was put on hold because of the unrest in Ferguson. But we're showing you how residents are stepping up to help support the families of fallen officers.
Plus, crooks use an SUV as a battering ram to break into a St. Louis store, and it's who the vehicle belongs to that makes this case even more interesting.
Our slushy snow winds down tonight, but then we go from 30s for highs to near 60 degrees. A big change. It'll happen quickly, and I'll take you through the timing.
And we want to take you back live to Ferguson. National Guardsmen remain on the scene at the Ferguson Police Department, but a much calmer situation than we've seen for the past 2 days. News 4 learning the identity of the man who was found shot and killed in Ferguson just hours after Monday's riots. Police now identifying him, 20-year-old DeAndre Johnson of U City. Johnson's body found inside a burned-out car. Officers not saying tonight whether or not his death is related to the riots. Police are still looking for his killer.
A major event honoring police and firefighters is a no-go tonight.
As News 4 has reported, the Guns and Hoses boxing match at the Scott Trade Center, it was postponed due to the situation in Ferguson. But as Jasmine Huda tells us, first responders, they won't be forgotten tonight.
Sharon and Steve, that's right. Those who had counted on coming out to the Scott Trade Center tonight are instead making donations at restaurants and bars. The money collected will go to Backstoppers, and that, of course, is the organization that helps support the families of fallen first responders. All over town, you'll find Rock'em Sock'em matches like this one at Marley's in Ferguson. That is just blocks from where officers are serving on the front lines. Murphy's on 21 in South County hosting a similar event. The night before Thanksgiving has become synonymous with Guns and Hoses. 17,000 people attended the charity boxing event last year. Supporters say the unrest in Ferguson, all the more reason to step up.
The police officers in Ferguson, the county officers, the State Patrol, they've been great to us through this. They've been great to us.
One of my friends who was in the hospital texted me and asked if somebody could come by her house just to pick up a donation. And I almost cried. To me, that's amazing that people are supporting us so much.
Now, the organizers of Guns and Hoses say they plan on rescheduling the event. It is not canceled. They are looking at early next year. And, of course, we'll let you know when that date is determined. Live in the newsroom, Jasmine Huda, News 4.
Anger over the killing of Michael Brown and the grand jury decision, it's being seen around the world.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives...
The familiar chant, Black Lives Matter, being heard tonight in London. This rally held outside the U.S. Embassy. 3 years ago, there was widespread rioting in England when police shot and killed a 29-year-old black man. The man did have a gun. Steve?
We've been seeing protests nationwide related to the grand jury's decision of the Michael Brown shooting case. This is a live look from Los Angeles, which has been the scene of some big demonstrations since Monday. Protesters blocking stretches of road, and earlier about 300 people gathered outside of the federal building in downtown Los Angeles.
And some demonstrators in the St. Louis area are calling for a boycott on the busiest shopping day of the year. Protest leaders encouraging supporters to boycott major retailers and demonstrate at shopping malls across the St. Louis area on Black Friday and throughout the holiday weekend. Organizers telling us their aim is to show solidarity, but they do not want to cause long-term impact to local workers who are trying to make money during the holidays. Meantime, workers in Ferguson who have lost their jobs due to the riots, looting, fires, they're getting a helping hand from an anonymous donor during Thanksgiving. Free turkeys for Ferguson families in need. News 4 was right there as the NAACP helped distribute them in St. Louis County. A total of 200 turkeys donated to hand out.